Oftentimes after a prayer is led in a public assembly, there's a variety of reactions. Usually that reaction is because we're all holding it in as the prayer is being said. However, it's very rare, at least in this modern time, for someone to show up and arrest you after a prayer has been led. But that's exactly what happened to Jesus. It's happened to many others throughout history, but in John 18, we read about Jesus being arrested after he had said the prayer that we have studied from John chapter 17. In fact, verse 1 of chapter 18 begins by saying, when Jesus had spoken these words, when he had said his prayer, he went with his disciples over the Kidron, where there was a garden, in which he entered with his disciples. And Judas also, who betrayed him, knew the place, for he often met there with his disciples. Judas then, having received a band of men and officers from the chief priests and Pharisees, came with lanterns and torches and weapons. This is Jesus after his prayer and going into the garden and being with his disciples, and this whole band of soldiers shows up with all these weapons ready to violently, apparently, if necessary, take him by force. Jesus, therefore, knowing all things that would come upon him or to be fulfilled, said to them, "Whom do you seek?" Who are you looking for? Jesus had no fear at all of them. Jesus knew this is exactly the way that it should be. They answered and said to him, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus said to them, "I am he." Judas also was standing with them. Judas was standing with the wrong group of men. Judas was with the wrong group of people. And as soon as he said to them, "I am he," and here's something very fascinating. As soon as Jesus said to these people, "I am he," these soldiers, these men who are ready to violently, if necessary, arrest Jesus, the text tells us they drew back and fell to the ground. Was that something miraculous? Was it supernatural? The text really doesn't tell us. It's quite intriguing what happens there. But the reaction of these men who are there ready to arrest Jesus and have weapons and all kinds of things that you would expect of soldiers, they draw back and they fall to the ground. It's quite amazing, really. Of course, they will complete their task and they will arrest Jesus, but I have to stop and think for a moment that they were coming to arrest Jesus, and he basically voluntarily surrendered to them, but they're the ones who fell back to the ground. Oftentimes in our lives, we think that we have the superiority over Jesus and that we can march in with our weapons and that we can simply take him down or we can take over the situation. And Jesus simply says, "I am he." And we find ourselves drawing back and falling to the ground. You see, we're the ones who need to surrender, not Jesus. We're the ones who need to place ourselves in his custody and let the one who said, "I am he," be who he is.